Hello and welcome! My name is Jessica Gem, and in today's video I might get a little animated. So, if you are on the internet, and especially on my side of the internet, or in D&D and stuff, you've probably heard of VTubers. I mean, I am practically the second step towards it as a PNG tuber beyond just a character image. In case you don't know though, VTuber means virtual YouTuber, and they are often characterized by anime or cartoon-like models made of 2D art, animated to look like they're 3D through special software. I've never been hugely into any particular VTubers, but I have been fascinated by the art form since I first saw it. Hence the reason I chose to be a PNG tuber in the first place. I'm fairly self-conscious and didn't want the added pressure of worrying about how I looked on stream, while also dealing with all of the other hurdles and attention needs that making live content already requires. So I opted not to show my face when I first started for a bit back in 2022 with my very first version of Gemstone. I also thought it would be fun to do a reveal later in my art career because all the hype could be neat. I'm a bit dramatic, if you haven't noticed, but depending how life goes, I'd prefer to just stay like this for now. I had researched the process of making a VTuber a few times before, but hadn't quite got up the nerve to try my hand at it yet. I have a few ideas in mind, but recently I've just been itching to get my hands dirty, so I finally took the plunge. I'm starting with what was supposed to be a bit of a simpler concept. Just a little gemstone-backed chibi with limited pieces and movement. But I always jump into the deep end, for better or worse, so it ended up as basically a fully articulated model. You have to separate the drawing into a bunch of different pieces wherever you want something to move on its own. So things like the eye, the iris, hair, nose, that type of thing has to be made out of a bunch of different layers. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I am not making a tutorial or anything, and I'm still fairly new to the software myself. Everyone has their own preferred way of cutting up the model, and as you can see, I decided to do it in my actual illustration process. So I basically made each piece separate from the get-go and rendered them individually together. This was the way that I wanted to try first because it makes the most sense for me, but I may try other methods later on. For a lot of the pieces they were symmetrical, so while I had both sides up for the visuals, I really only rendered one side of each piece and then flipped it to the other so that everything stayed even and easier. This becomes really important in the rigging process where we add all the movements, because if the drawing is symmetrical, we can also flip the movements we make. What is also important is naming all your layers, which took a very long time, and I had to keep redoing them when I flipped them to the other side. But it was worth it for keeping everything organized while I was animating it. I was following a simple tutorial series by Inkugaki VT, which I'll link below if you're interested. Because my model isn't human, so she has a snout, big ears, etc., things like that weren't covered in the tutorial. But in the end, I actually figured it all out by myself based on what I had already learned about the program. It looks very complicated and technical, but it's actually a very intuitive process once you know what you're doing, at least for a lot of the basic movements. It almost feels like the digital equivalent of clay in a weird way. There are way more complicated and incredible things you can do with this software, but again, this is supposed to be a test model, quote-unquote. I used the free version of Live2D Cubism for this first one, so there were some limitations that I ran into, but I was able to work around almost all of them, and chose to keep the most important elements where I couldn't. I'm planning on getting at least the trial period of the Pro for my other models, but hey, if I get really into this, maybe I'll sign up for a while. I had a super fun time making and rigging this model, and I think overall, especially for my first model, she looks absolutely adorable and so cool, and I was freaking out for quite a while when I finally loaded her up. Literally almost teared up. I spent about 7 hours drawing and separating the pieces, and about 15 to 18 hours more rewatching parts of the tutorials and rigging it to the current state over the last week. Insert here, technically the week before because it was raining the day I tried to record this initially, so I had to postpone the video. Apologies for that. I decided to make it a bat chibi to be simpler since I already had made this bat not too long ago, and I also felt it fit with gemstone for a cave theme. Originally, I had it brown like the other one, but that's more my personal color. Gemstone's tones go better in a navy, which is what I normally dress her in, so I changed it to fit that last minute. This may be something I attempt to dive further into, especially as interesting content creation is growing despite the struggles that go with it. I will likely be making Gemstone as well as a few others at least, so stay tuned to see more characters come to life. For now, here she is, Gemstone's Bat Fursona.
Eep eep! Hello, Daylight Dwellers! Come watch me on Twitch at Jessica Gem Art on most Saturdays at 8 PM UTC to see me in action for my first stream in this forum. Don't worry, I won't be doing the voice. Probably.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope I hit a home run with this bat design. If you enjoyed this video, please grant me a like, and if you'd like to see some more of my art, subscribe to join me. That's all for now, so farewell and have a wonderful day.